outside of those victims, there's a lot of witnesses. I would say witnesses slash victims to a certain degree. There are a lot of witnesses who came out of the woodwork was like, yeah, yo man, I saw Diddy hit Kim Porter plenty of times, and it's like, yet you didn't report it. You saw this, but you turned a blind eye because I guess you're on Diddy's payroll, or you turned a blind eye because maybe you felt like if you snitched on Diddy, you'll never work in this town again. Hey, what's going on, folks? Another episode of Ryan Reviews Everything, and I'm talking about the 5-part documentary that's on Max as well as Investigation ID. This is on the fall of Diddy. I guess, like you've seen in the beginning of the video, trigger warning. This does touch on women being violated sexually, and it just talks about, I guess, covers like really a history of violence in general that Diddy has exhibited. When I watched this, and once again, there's no need for me to go over the play-by-play stuff of what Diddy's in jail for. I'm sure by now you've seen the Cassie video of Diddy chasing her down, beating her up. I'm sure I've heard all the allegations for why he's even locked up in the first place. Allegations of freak offs, allegation of people being drugged, this and the third. No need to give all of that. So I guess just, first of all, I will say the documentary is well done. Like they found damn near everybody who interacted with Diddy behind the scenes in this documentary, from his childhood friends, from journalists who have, scary experiences with Diddy in terms of fearing for their lives. Like they found anybody they could find for this documentary. And I guess that's kind of another reason why not everyone, but some of the witnesses who witnessed violence from Diddy, it was kind of annoying to hear from them. And I'll get into why. Another thing I took away from this documentary was how brave Cassie really must have been in order to call Diddy out. It's like, this is somebody, when you watch this documentary, this is somebody who strived. Yes, you got to be a hard worker and talented. Yeah, that's for sure. But another part, when you watch this documentary, you see that this must have been coming from a person who strived off of his money, power, and intimidation. And so, to me, that actually just makes Cassie look even, that much more brave, because it's like, despite the money, power, and intimidation factor that Diddy had all these years, at some point, Cassie, had much more heart than a lot of these other people in this documentary. And that's, it sounds like shade, but you got your own story to tell. But like I said, outside of the women in this documentary who were assaulted by Diddy in a without their consent, in terms of intimacy, outside of those victims, there's a lot of witnesses. I would say witnesses slash victims to a certain degree. There are a lot of witnesses who came out of the woodwork was like, yeah, yo man, I saw Diddy hit Kim Porter plenty of times, and it's like, yet you didn't report it. You saw this, but you turned a blind eye because I guess you're on Diddy's payroll, or you turned a blind eye because maybe you felt like if you snitched on Diddy, you'll never work in this town again. So to those people, I feel like that was very annoying. It's like, you knew the type of monster Diddy was in terms of him having domestic abuse issues, hell, him just beating up or sending death threats to journalists. Like, there were certain people who knew all of this, but again, I guess because he is a powerful person. You do think about it. It is a tough choice. I will say that it is a tough choice, but at the same token, you did have the choice or the power, in a sense, to be like, you know what, this is wrong. I need to report what I've seen here. Hopefully I can get, for example, I could get Kim to come with me and report this abuse as well. Like, there was a lot of people who came out of the woodworks about how violent Diddy was in terms of violence, and they just turned a blind eye to it. So again, watching this documentary, it made me feel like, okay, yeah, Cassie really did have a lot of heart to really do what she did. And like I said, even when she initially was calling out Diddy, like they was dragging her name through the mud. I remember that. I remember people being like, "Oh, this is just a money grab." Her and her personal trainer husband. The money must be running low over there. Those are like, for example, I remember Slim Thug was publicly calling her out and stuff like that. He did eventually apologize once the tape came out, but there was a lot of people who you could say were guilty of bashing Cassie instead of taking a step back and being like, damn, maybe what Diddy is doing, there's some truth to it. So yeah, overall, I think that's just what I took away from it. If you are easily triggered by certain things, like I said, women being violated without their consent, you may not want to watch this. This may not be for you. And I will end it with this. Like, there were some people who didn't care, outside of Cassie. Cassie was, I guess, the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of bringing down Diddy. There were some other people who did, go to, try to take Diddy to court for certain things. Like, if you're a hip hop head, you remember Diddy's interaction with Steve Stout. Diddy didn't, at the last minute, really didn't like him, how he was portrayed on the cross for the Hate Me Now video with Nas. And he came into Steve Stout's office, and him and his goons, bodyguard, whatever you want to call them, they jumped Steve Stout. Steve didn't turn a blind eye. It was like, hell, you already jumped me. I might as well take you to court. But despite that, Diddy was like Teflon Don. He didn't really get hit with anything like that. In his very, very early days, he was taken to court for the City College celebrity basketball game incident, where a good number of people got trampled to death or whatnot, or something of that nature. Got away clean from that. And even with that, some of the family members of some of these people who died, they tried to take him to task. Some of them, according to their testimony, not me making it up, some of them said they reluctantly took this $50,000 payout in order to, I guess, kind of walk away from the situation. Like your family, this guy's making millions of dollars. Your family member just got trampled over this celebrity basketball game that he oversold. Like I think the venue was only big enough for 2,000 people. But 5,000-6,000 people had tickets, and that's how the trampling incident happened. But nevertheless, this guy's making millions. He offers you $50,000 to kind of go away, and sounds like a good number of those people took it. He did go to court for it in general, and was acquitted for that incident. So when you got situations like, the Steve Stout situation where you beat up somebody and you don't go to jail for it. You're responsible for, hosting or producing this venue, and you kind of get away with that as well. You start to feel invincible, I would imagine. And yeah, man, that's overall what I got, what I took away from this documentary was, outside of Cassie really, really, just putting it out there and having nothing to lose. Outside of that, this documentary really shows you how money, power, and just being able to intimidate people can make a huge difference. Like I said, there was a lot of people in this documentary who came out of nowhere once he went down. Or I'll say a lot of witnesses. They're like, yeah, I saw him beat up Kim Porter. I saw him do this. I saw him do that. I was his childhood friend, and I heard about this story. And it's just like, but nobody said anything. I don't blame this particular person, because the only person's situation I understand a little bit more than anybody else's was his bodyguard. He had a bodyguard he worked for 2 or 3 years, and he had already been to prison. And, I'm sure you've heard about the situation. Sometimes if you're a former felon, it's really hard for you to get a job. So this bodyguard he was in the documentary, admitting to what he's witnessed. Like, he witnessed Cassie getting her face stomped in by Diddy. He witnessed all types of other wild stuff. But he didn't say anything because, this is the best job opportunity he had, in terms of, him being a former felon. He wasn't going to get work anywhere else. So he was like, I might as well keep my mouth shut and just be Diddy's bodyguard for as long as I could be. But I've probably said too much already. Damn, my last thing. And there's also a part where his former assistant really gives some, some details about it, about what he witnessed with Diddy. If you're interested in that, that's the final episode. And once again, my comments about people who looked the other way or didn't say anything or was quiet, those are the people who I feel like, I wish they did more. And once again, this excludes any of the great victims, as they say, of Diddy. Anybody who is alleging that they were violated by Diddy in a sexual manner, I am not talking about them. Only talking about people who actually witnessed Diddy do some wild stuff, or some of the people who may have taken a buyout when they should have tried to take him more to task. Love it or hate it, that's my take. Peace.